Hey guys, I want to talk with you a little bit today about using the gifts that you have been given in this life for good. I am a firm believer that every single one of us as human beings was bestowed a particular set of strengths or talents, gifts, whatever you might want to call them, just as part of our makeup of who we are when we came into this world. And all these things, for whatever reason, I don't know what they are. I do feel like they're doled out in different fashions, in a sense, whereby some of us acquire things naturally that are a lot more powerful for whatever reason over the general populace of people that we interact with out there. And others certainly have their strengths, but may not exercise as much influence over a lot of people in and of themselves for whatever reason. That's a whole other discussion for another day, but let me just get down to the point here about what I'm talking about. I am specifically taking aim and making a challenge basically to those folks out there who, in my opinion, have been bestowed some of the most powerful and influential gifts that we as humans can have. And for the women that might be listening out there, these are the women that have the best looks. That tends to be one of the most influential or powerful things, let's say, that women can use to exercise influence over other people, over other women, certainly over other men. That's one end of the spectrum. On the other end of the spectrum, for the males out there that are listening, I feel like the most powerful and influential gift that you might have been given is a personality of charisma, a swagger about yourself, just a way of being that is intoxicating to other people. I hope you guys agree with me on this notion. Maybe you've known people like this in your lives that have had these sorts of traits or characteristics, and I assume that you would look at this in somewhat of a similar light, whereby at least you can acknowledge, hopefully, that these types of people, both males and females, as I've outlined them, have a power that they've just been given, and that's just how it is. That's just human nature, and that's just the world that we live in. But all that I'm getting at here today is just a challenge for you folks out there that may have been given these two gifts that I've talked about between the males and the females, is it's very, very tempting, and it's very, very easy actually to use these gifts in a bad way. You can get people to do things that you want them to do. It's easy to manipulate them. It's easy to get whatever you want out of other people and situations. It's really easy to use people basically when you have traits such as these under your power. And I sincerely hope that if you are one of these people in the world that are lucky enough to have these types of traits about yourself, that use them for good. And don't let it go to your head, and don't use these things for malicious purposes. I think that there will be ramifications down the road for you, whether it be in this lifetime or in the next, that these types of things will catch up for you. But that's kind of abstract, and that touches on spirituality, and that's not really my aim of what I'm really out to communicate with you guys and girls about today. But just this broader sense of your time on the earth here and what you can do with your life, and really the things that are going to be most fulfilling for you personally. I'm a firm believer that you're going to grasp a lot more personal fulfillment out of these types of situations where you use that sort of influence for positive, for good, for helping people, for assisting, for aiding, for doing good and positive things in this world, as opposed to taking the opposite easy route and using those charms to manipulate people and to just be a self-serving, get what you want to get at every waking second in your life out of people because you know you can do it. It's easy if you are one of these types of people that understands the power that you've been wielded for whatever reason, just naturally. It's just it's a whole different level of experience, I think, when you can, like I said, use these sorts of things for positive, good, spreading good energy, doing good things in the world, as opposed to using them to serve yourself. And I know that's very abstract, and I know that might not make a lot of tangible and touchable sense to those of you out there that might be listening that have these sorts of traits about you, but it's just something that I've observed. I've had tastes of, I think, both of these elements to some small regard, and I see how easy it is sometimes to get people to be putty in your hands, just being the person that you are, and like I said, just exercising the natural gifts that you've been given. But that's not always right. It might feel good in the moment. It might feel good in the short term. You might get some small payoff in the nearsighted sort of realm that you might consider this in. But in the long run, these things will probably come back at you and eat you up, and it won't feel good at some point. You'll have this realization at some point in your life if you haven't already. And I'm just trying to call this to your attention and call it to light to you. If you're listening to this and you are one of these types of men or women in the world, just to point it out. I'm not here to judge you. You're all on your own path to learn yourselves and learn about just how you ought to be operating down here in this world. But it's just something I've observed and I wanted to point out. So hope you guys and girls are having a great day. We'll talk again real soon.